Welcome to Meet Your Neighbor, the podcast that highlights the people and stories that make Westbrook Village a truly exceptional community. I'm your host, Steve Marilla, local realtor, neighbor, and proud member of this vibrant community. Each episode, we sit down with residents to learn about their careers, life experiences, and what brought them to Westbrook Village. It's a chance to connect, share, and celebrate the unique journeys that shape our neighborhood. Thanks for tuning in. And now, let's meet your neighbor. Today, we honor our veterans. Thank you for your service and dedication. Did you know veterans make up nearly 10% of U.S. homeowners? Their sense of commitment and community helps make neighborhoods like Westbrook Village so special. Today's guest knows all about dedication, teamwork, and service. Mark Studi spent his career in the U.S. Marine Corps, serving as a crew chief on the CH-53E Super Stallion helicopter, one of the largest and most powerful helicopters in the military. His time in the Marines taught him leadership, precision, and courage, lessons that continue to guide him in civilian life. Now, Mark proudly calls Westbrook Village home. Here, he's traded flight decks for fairways and enjoys the close-knit camaraderie of his vibrant community. In this episode, we'll hear Mark's story, from life in the skies to finding peace and purpose right here in Westbrook Village. Now, let's meet your neighbor. Hey, Mark.
Hey, how you doing, Steve?
I'm doing great. And we were rattling off 100 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden, interview starts. Hello. So let's start with, where are you from, man?
Well, I was born in Richmond, Indiana, and lived there for a short time, and then my mom and father, they separated ways.
Yeah.
And then she married a Marine.
Oh.
So once we left Richmond, we went to Southern California.
Okay.
I credit that guy, for the way he brought us up.
Yep.
And he was always, he was strict. He was a Marine.
Military man?
And so our whole family basically was in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
And but anyway, getting back to Richmond, Indiana, had a lot of family there. My dad, my real dad was the youngest of 9.
Okay.
So big family there. They would have family reunions every year. So one of them owned a skating ring. Oh. And, I was only, 3 years old. And we'd go to the skating rink. Well, I just thought these were a bunch of people going to the skating rink. And heck, they were my whole family.
Turns out they were your whole family.
Yeah.
So you go back for family reunions?
We went back a few times through the year.
Yeah.
Out of all those 9 are gone now.
Okay.
And so we go back there, visit aunts and uncles and stuff like that. But I got one aunt left out there, so don't go back much. But Colorado's home. That's
Colorado's
where I really grew up.
Okay.
That's my stepdad retired from the Marine Corps. And then we went to Colorado Springs.
Yep.
And
that's a big military town.
Yep. That's where we started off. I was in elementary school, and later, once I got in junior high, started playing basketball, played football.
Yep.
And and then I played football all the way to my junior year, and then that kind of stopped. Kind of had a knee injury.
Yeah.
And I played basketball up to my sophomore year. And but football was pretty much
that was the sport for you.
We were playing. I played in my freshman year. I was all of 140 pounds.
Yeah, oh, wow.
Probably about 5'6", and I played offense and defensive tackle.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So basically, quickness is what got me started there. And then a sophomore year, I played a little bit of corner and split end. I had a growing spurt. Grew about 5-6 inches over the summer.
Oh yeah,
and so that made a difference. But
doesn't that feel good when I remember I didn't have a growing spurt until 19, I think I was, and that was basically right before I went into basic training. I went into National Guard, and I was like, right before I went in, I went from 165 to 195. And I was like a skinny, scrawny kid. And then I get in the military and now I'm a fat guy because my neck was too big or something. And they wouldn't let me have pop. I remember. So yeah, those growth spurts, they come up on you.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's, basically it, had a lot of famous folks in our high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Goose Gossage, he went to our high school. He used to come back there all the time. I don't know if you remember him getting in a fight with one of his New York Yankees and broke his hand.
No.
You don't remember that? So anyway, I worked at Taco Bell in high school.
Yeah.
And his mom lived right behind it, so he would come up in his Mercedes, and he would come in there. He came in there with a broken hand.
Oh,
and I knew who he was.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, "What happened to your hand?" And he looks at me, he goes, "A long story." And there was nobody in there. It was like 11 o'clock at night. And I looked at him, I said, "Well, I got time." Like that. And he just gave me this look like, "You smart,"
Yeah.
So it was kind of funny.
Wow. So then were you naturally just going to get going to the Marines because of your upbringing, or what made you really pull the trigger?
The military was not far from my,
really?
I wasn't even going to join the military. Matter of fact, I graduated high school my senior year semester, and I started working for a company, IBM.
Okay.
And I was a computer part inspector.
Okay.
I don't know how I got the job. I worked at Taco Bell. They hired me, and next thing you know, I'm a computer part inspector.
Wow.
And I had a real good boss, and he showed me the ropes, and then it was kind of a mom and pop deal with IBM. They were building parts for IBM and everything.
Yeah.
And the owner, he would start taking me to the big IBM building there.
Okay.
When we would mess up parts, if I didn't catch something or something like that. So he was training me. He was kind of grooming me. Well, when they hired me, the first day that I was supposed to go to work, I told them I had to take my parents to the airport up in Denver. And I said I couldn't start until Tuesday. Well, I was actually going up to Denver to join the Marine Corps.
Oh,
at that time when I got that job. And so anyway, they really liked me. They, like I said, they were kind of grooming me for a job. And then finally, 3 months later, I said, "Hey, I joined the Marine Corps. I'm going to boot camp."
Oh, boy.
But they were happy for me.
Yeah.
But in May of 1980, it wasn't even on my radar.
Huh.
And in June of 1980, I joined. And that was solely, and I told him, I said, "If you could get me into aviation guaranteed, I'm yours."
Huh.
And I looked into the Air Force and I looked into the Navy, and they couldn't guarantee me that.
Sure.
They could guarantee me, they just have, later as I became a recruiter, I figured out, okay, that, it was pretty tough for the Marine Corps to guarantee me that.
Right.
But they got it done. So, so that's basically how that happened.
So what made you want to get into aviation?
My stepdad, he was F4s. And that's what I wanted to do, was fixed wing, and everything like that.
Yeah.
And that's all they guaranteed you was aviation field. You didn't know what you were going to get, and everything. So finally, once you finish your first school, which was in Millington, Tennessee, they you would go out to your next base, and you had some more schools to go to.
Yeah.
But then they asked you, they said, "Hey, we got this many spots for this, and this." And it was and I got out of boot camp, I got helicopters.
Oh,
so
really?
I wasn't too happy about it.
Okay. You didn't want to be in the helicopter.
Well, I wanted to do fixed wing,
right.
So that was the best thing ever, because, with the helicopters, you could actually fly.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about that. So
sure.
As soon as I got into helicopters and I found out that, hey, they started asking me if you could swim, they would want you to be a crew chief.
Okay.
You know, and plane captain and flight engineer, that type of stuff. And so anyway, I had qualified first class swim in boot camp.
Okay.
And so they were like, well, you're first class. We're going to send you to water survival. You know, so I went through all that, you know, where they dump you off in the ocean and then they pick you up in the helicopter and you go through the dunker and you go through all that stuff. And once you do that, then they put you on flight skins, you know, where they start paying you.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, that right from there, that was it, you know.
That had to feel pretty good, especially you're 19 years old?
19 years old, yeah.
And you're jumping out of helicopters into the ocean.
Well, we weren't jumping out. They would just dump you out there. That was part of your training for rescue if you crashed in a helicopter.
You didn't have to jump out of?
No,
did you propel down a rope?
No, never had to. No, what they did is they would just take you out there on a boat. And you'd have all your stuff. You'd have flares and everything like that. And then you'd have to do certain things, you know,
and
blow up your vest and float out in the water and everything. Well, when I did this, you know, they called it D-West, you know, and when we went out there, there was like, you know, 15 of us. Yeah. And we would all roll out of a raft and, cause that's what they dump. And then they'd say, okay. And they take the raft away and everything. And so you're out there, you know, and you
by yourself,
you blow up your vest and everything. So you're floating out there. And then here comes a helicopter, lower the hoist and everything. And one guy at a time. Okay. Right? And they take that, they bring him up and they take him to shore. They come out and get the next guy. Well, I was the last one in line. And this is no kidding. It's like 4:00 in the afternoon. And the water's cold. Yeah. You know, and I'm sitting out there.
Where are you? What part of the
North Island in California?
Island. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. There in Coronado. You know, out there. I know. And we're out there. I could see land, but you know, it was pretty far away. Yeah. And they left with the guy that went before me and I'm the last one out there. Well, that thing's not coming back. I'm like, and I literally started doing the backstroke because I'm thinking these guys forgot about me. And then all of a sudden I hear them. They're coming and everything. And so anyway, they lower the hoist and everything. And when you're looking up and you're getting the hook and you're hooking yourself up, you're getting drowned by the rotor wash. Right? Sure. So they get me up there and the guy goes, sorry, we had to get fuel. And I was like, oh, thanks. You know.
So it wasn't just in your head. They were a little late.
They were a little late. Yes. Yeah. I was thinking sharks and oh man, I'm going to freeze out here. I better start swimming.
1980. That's about Jaws time.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding. Yeah.
So, that's crazy. Yeah. And I mean, it's crazy sitting here talking to you about that. And then I think about what other military guys, I mean, the training that some of these guys go through. Right. I mean, that, you know, you're got to be a low percentage of people have done what you've done just in that bit of training. You know, I was in the Army. We just shot guns and drove around Jeeps, you know.
Yeah, we had to do that too. You know, we had to do that. The one thing about the Marine Corps is you're doing your job specialty. Yeah, but you got to be a Marine too. You know, everybody's you know got to go through the same training as that grunt is. You know, because bottom line is that's what you are as a Marine. So
I interviewed a Marine, Ed. Yeah, and Ed told me in his interview that he was the only. Marine is the only branch that will cross-train. Mm-hmm. And I found that pretty unique. And I wonder why that is. It's just because they do so many different things, because he was a helicopter pilot and he got cross-trained to be a what do you call it? A wing pilot.
Yeah, fixed wing.
Yeah, fixed wing. Mm-hmm. And he was the third guy in history to do that. So that's pretty cool about the Marines.
Yeah.
You have always been and then you were a recruiter for Marines.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Always Marines. That's all you.
Always Marines. That's one thing about the Marine Corps is as far as if you want to make the Marines a career as an enlisted guy, you have to either do drill instructor duty, recruiting duty, or Marine security.
Okay.
You know, so you have to do one of those three B-billets is what they call them. And
what does that mean? What does B-billet mean?
B-billet is you're out of your MOS, your regular MOS. So
you're out of your MOS going to do, okay.
So what they do is when you get picked as a recruiter, they come and they have a screening team. Yeah. And if you have any bad things on your record, if you have bills, if you
Sure.
they're looking because you're going out there on independent duty, and you're basically your own boss out there.
Sure.
And you do have a higher ranking guy that's there, but you're out there on your own pretty much. And if you want to get up later and go do your thing or what have you,
so you could have your own discipline.
So you had to be disciplined to go out there. It was pretty easy to go, well, I think I'll go do this today.
Right.
But so you had to have a successful tour out of one of those three to continue on. And some of these guys don't, some of these Marines don't get that, those duties until later on in their career, which is not good.
Sure.
Because if they don't do well, then all those years are kind of a waste,
Right.
So I was glad when they came and they screened me.
So you got to get there a little early.
I was 24 years old. So,
okay.
So I could still relate to high school kids. And
yeah. So you're saying that you had to do that in order to be a career, and most guys get to end and do that, and then they're recruiting at 30 some years old.
Yeah, and then sometimes it doesn't work out.
On your record. Yeah.
So if they're not making mission, because usually, when you get out there, there's, they'll tell you, you need to put in 3 a month, you know, and usually the average out there is about 1.5.
Oh, really?
Because if you look at it, I mean, how many kids want to go join the Marines,
Right.
So, you had to, as a recruiter, you had to make it, hey, this is the way you want to go.
Yeah.
So when I got out there, the first thing I did out there in Lincoln, Nebraska, is I came in there to start recruiting, and I had to go through recruiter school, 3 months of recruiter school.
Okay.
I had to do that before I got my duty station. I wanted Colorado.
Yeah.
I have an older brother who was a recruiter.
Yeah.
That was already in Colorado.
Okay.
So they didn't want 2 brothers in the same area.
Sure.
Right. And that was due to they didn't want, if one was felon and the other one was trying to help them, they didn't want to have 2 of them fell, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, he was doing his thing in Colorado. I got orders to Council Bluffs, Iowa at first.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know where that was. And then 2 weeks before graduation, they pulled me in. They said, hey, there was 2 of us. And he said, Studi, you're higher in the class rankings than the other guy. He says, do you want to go to Lincoln, Nebraska? And I'm thinking, man, that's Metro. That's
you got some population there. Yeah.
Yeah. And they said, yeah. And I said, yeah, I'll take it. So now I'm going to Lincoln, Nebraska. And then I later find out why. We won't even go into that. But anyway, some guy wasn't doing so hot there, and I ended up going there.
Okay.
And everything. But then it wasn't Metro. I had 23 high schools, and most of them were out in the farmlands.
In the sticks?
So I had a lot of windshield time.
Okay.
But the first day I walked in there, I had my name tag, had a pin that was the Eagle Globe and Anchor for the Marine Corps, gold. Yep. And one of the recruiters looks at me and he goes, hey, what's that on your name tag? I said, that's my pen. He goes, oh, man, you need to take that off, man. If the gunny sees that, he's going to get PO'd,
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, and he goes, yeah, you got to put 5 people in 1 month to rate putting that on. In the Marine Corps, you got to earn everything.
Right.
Everything.
Yeah.
They don't give nothing.
Right. Yeah.
So I had another name tag in my briefcase, pulled it out, put it back on, and left it.
That guy saved you.
So the first month I was out there, I put 7 in.
Oh, wow.
And all those other guys that were in that recruiting office, they didn't have a pen, and they had been out there for over a year and stuff like that first month. So they were like, oh, man, you got lucky. Next month, 7 in. Right.
You must have been, you were a rock star.
So anyway, go out there and I just start off really good. And next thing I know, I got the commanding officer asking me what I'm doing like 4 months later. He goes, what are you doing tomorrow? He calls me direct. And I said, well, I got to go out to this high school. And he goes, cancel it. He goes, the colonel is flying in to see you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So anyway, automatically, so I take Rookie of the Year the first year.
Nice.
Second year, I take Recruiter of the Year. And then the third year, I'm in charge of a station. I get meritoriously promoted, and I take Station of the Year.
Huh.
And then the colonel calls me and wants me to be a career recruiter in the Marine Corps. I only have at that point in time 7.5 years in the Marine Corps.
Right.
Right. I'm an
And
E6.
is it 25 years to retire?
20.
20. Okay.
So I'm like, there is no way I could do this recruiting. So I tell him, I said, I love my job back in the fleet. And I said, I want to get back to flying. I want to get back to the fleet. He goes, oh, I understand that. A month goes by, secretary calls, Colonel wants to talk to you. He's trying to get me on. I'm thinking, for one, I'm like, I'll be divorced if I stay out here. Right. Because you work a lot of hours.
Yeah.
I mean, you're out there.
Well, yeah, because the kids are in school. You're working after school. You're trying to track them down.
Right.
And set them. Yeah.
So from there, they keep me for an extra month.
Yeah.
And then I end up going back to the fleet.
Okay.
And it was like that duty out there alone. It was tough. And but it was easy for me, but it was tough on the family.
Sure.
That
so are you a guy that, I mean, when you got to be a recruiter, I'm going to be the best recruiter there is.
Is
that the attitude you took?
I figured I had nothing to lose because my EES, my contract expired at 8 years.
Sure.
And before I'd have to make up my mind in reenlistment, I went out there at 5. So I told my wife, I told her, I says, hey, look, we're going out there. And, looking at her face coming from Orange County, California to Lincoln, Nebraska, we were driving 2 cars. I look in the rearview mirror and look at her face as we're driving down O Street, their main street there. And she was not happy, but I told her, I said, hey, I'm going to go out here. I'm going to do my thing. And if things don't work out, I said, a lot of people get relieved out here. I said, I'm going to do my thing, and if it works out, I'll reenlist. If it doesn't, I'll be looking for a civilian job.
Yeah.
And it all worked out. They picked me for a commercial to do a Marine commercial. So I did a Marine commercial, and so when I would walk into these people's houses, they'd like, hey, you were on that commercial.
Oh, that was
and I was like, yeah. So it was good. I like I said, all my experiences in the Marine Corps were all good.
Yeah.
All good, so.
So then you ended up going back out?
Went out
back
to the
your
fleet.
MOS?
Went out to my MOS, went to Desert Storm. After Desert Storm, I became an instructor. I was an instructor for my type aircraft, and I taught the mechanics, and I also taught the pilots.
Okay.
So one of the good things about my first 5 years of flying, it was basically you had one qualified pilot flying. Because you had all second and first lieutenants learning how to fly that aircraft. Oh, so you lose one, you don't have them all. You don't have you're out there doing things with one qualified pilot, right? And I really never thought about that too much. I think about it today when I'm a lot
when you're older, when you're young and dumb.
But so I did that, and then I transferred. The Marine Corps was coming out with a brand new 53 Echo is what they called it. And this had 3 turbine engines on it. Oof. Huge. This was a huge deal for the Marine Corps and everything like that. And I did that. And, all those lieutenants that were in that squadron, they would always ask me if they could go out and pre-flight the aircraft with me so they could learn some stuff.
Sure.
Well, I'd do it for them. I'd say, yeah, you show up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And I'm pre-flighting this aircraft, and I'll tell you everything you need to know. And I'll even tell you what the aircraft commander questions he's going to ask you. Who's flying? Whoever's flying with you, you tell me, and I'll tell you what he's going to ask you.
Oh, really?
So
that was nice.
So all these lieutenants, later on became majors.
Sure.
Lieutenant colonels.
They remember old
officers, and they remember that. And then I was their instructor in school when they'd come through the familiarizations as, they'd go to war college and stuff like that if they were colonel and lieutenant colonels, and then they would come back to that class and I'd be their instructor.
Okay.
So then I'd go back to the squadron. And then, next thing I know, these COs and AM maintenance officers, they were all my students at that point. So it all worked out for me, So, and then at another point in my career, when I had around 14 years, I went to Korea.
Okay.
And I took the family there, and what was out there was, it was a depot that reworked all the aircraft that I flew on, Navy and Marine Corps.
Oh,
so I was the only Marine out there.
Oh, wow.
And I took my family, so,
wow, that had to be experience.
My girl, it was experience for them. I talked Rhonda into doing it because I told her she was going to have a maid out there. And so we had an Ajumon and an Odyssey that he would wash my cars. He'd spit shine my boots.
Oh, wow.
And so what I did out there is I was in charge of all the aircraft that came in there for rework.
Sure.
For the Marines.
Because you were familiar with it?
It was mostly Marine Corps, and it was mostly my aircraft that I flew on. And Korean Air had the contract.
Okay.
So I had to learn Kringlish,
Kringlish?
Yeah. And all of them out there. And so I did a little air traffic control out there.
Oh, wow.
And, Korea's a little bit different. You could do a little bit different flying out there. And,
sure.
And we also had some Air Force guys, and they had a program out there for the 16s and the 15s. Yeah. So they were being reworked. So they were all Air Force, and we had one Navy guy, and I was the only Marine and everything. So that was probably my best job. My boss was over in Atsugi, Japan, and he would bring his private jet over to pick me up so I could go over there and brief everybody in the command on what was going on.
Wow, that is pretty cool. So is that pretty typical? I mean, you probably know a lot of stuff that the common people don't know, but when we get rid of an airplane, is it going and it goes to somewhere like Korea? Are they selling it to Korea? Or what's happening to the plane? Why are you
No, these are our aircraft. What they were, what it was is our aircraft that are based out in Okinawa, Japan, and all those places. Those aircraft all they got scheduled level maintenance.
Oh, okay.
That has to be done.
So you're not like refurbishing them, but you're just doing the scheduled maintenance to like the 100,000-mile checkup?
Exactly.
Okay.
They're doing things that organizational level like a squadron couldn't do.
Gotcha.
They have the specialties to do that, and each aircraft that comes through and does this mod,
gotcha.
It could cost like in the States it would cost going through there $1 million to go through that mod, but Koreans would do it for like $450,000.
Oh, okay.
To do.
And they're
all
tearing
down
the are they tearing down motors?
They're not tearing down motors, but they're doing the airframe.
Okay.
Making sure the any crack, repairs.
Sure, stress.
Exactly. That's kind of what they're doing. And so we bring them in there and do that, and then we have to test flight them out. And so I would have crews come in from Okinawa or wherever that aircraft was based at, and I would deal with them up in the tower, and I would tell them where they could fly and everything. And they do their flight plans and stuff like that. And any discrepancies that they came back, I'd have a crew of Koreans, and I'd have one guy that I talked to, and I'd tell him, "Hey, we got to get this done," and we get, and everything like that. I negotiated the contracts with them.
Oh, wow.
How much we paid and everything. And that everything I did in the Marine Corps got me ready for the civilian world. I mean, I was very lucky to be, I was handpicked to do that job.
Sure.
And I extended for 2 years to stay out there because you could only be out there in Korea for 2 years. But you could extend. And when I extended, my oldest daughter was diagnosed with diabetes.
Oh.
Type 1.
Oh.
And so I had to medevac her up from where we were based in Busan, Korea, up to Seoul.
Okay.
That was the only ones that could handle it. And then the family had to leave.
Oh.
Yeah, because they had they couldn't support her as a type 1.
Yeah.
And she was 10 years old. That was my oldest. And you met her.
Yeah.
You met her out at the pickleball courts one time with her son.
Okay.
Was out there.
And then did they go back to the U.S. then?
And then they went to, luckily I was at the end of my 2 year there.
Okay.
And my commanding officer over in Japan, he knew that I had to go back and be with them. So I finished my last 4 months of that tour. And then I was able to get a guy that they accepted that he could come in. I kind of trained this guy up, and then, they could always call me or what have you. But so I went back, and then of course, 2 years after that, Rhonda gets diagnosed as a type 1.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was kind of like okay, you're done with Korea, because I knew I was only going to do one more year there because I was going to be up for promotion to the next rank.
Sure.
And they didn't rate that rank there. So
okay.
I knew really I was only going to be there for one more year, but but that was a good duty. That was one of the best duties ever.
Really?
So I would take them on MAC flights over to Japan, and the kids and everything. They're riding in, C-141, C-5s.
That's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had a great life experience in that whole Marine experience.
Right. Yeah, it was good.
But you went all in. I mean, it sounds like, hey, I'm doing it and I'm going to do it right. Was your did you feel like you made your father-in-law pretty proud with your career in the Marines?
Oh yeah, he was around. He was still around. He passed away probably from Agent Orange.
Oh really?
Yeah, he had a big brain tumor.
Oh, okay.
But they couldn't get it all. He lasted about a year after his surgery. He passed away at 60.
Okay.
So very young.
Yeah.
Very young. But yeah, he did a lot of he did a lot of things with the Marine Corps even after he retired.
Sure.
And they have this Marine Corps Aviation Association. He signed myself and my brother up on it, and he used to do a lot of stories in their what they used to call the yellow sheet. Yellow sheet, when you're flying, is all the people who are flying on that aircraft for the day. That's just called the yellow sheet.
Okay.
That those names are on there.
Yeah.
That they're going to be on that aircraft. Sure. So that was what it was called in that thing. So I didn't know this, but he had done a story on both me and my brother.
Oh, really?
And about what we were doing.
Huh.
And I didn't know it until I checked out of there, and there was this general that was the commanding general of Marine Forces Korea.
Huh.
And that's where I had to check out of. And I knew him because he was my group CO in California.
Oh, wow. Way back.
As a pilot when he was a colonel.
Okay.
And so I get up there to check out, and, all these Marines around there, and the general says, hey, he calls all these Marines over, and he goes, come here. He goes, I want you to meet somebody. And he introduced me, and I was kind of like looking around like, sure, what is going on here?
Who am I?
He goes, you know that thing on the bulletin board out there in the hallway of the two Marines that this retired Marine wrote about his sons?
Yeah.
He goes, this is one
of them. That was you?
Yeah.
Ah, geez.
So I was
That's
like,
awesome.
I was like, I couldn't believe, and I never even read it, never even saw it.
Huh.
And so anyway, that was kind of cool, that he did something like that. And that's he probably passed away about a year after that.
Huh.
So
wow.
But yeah.
So how'd you make it to Westbrook?
Oh, well, when I retired from the Marine Corps, we talked about retiring in Arizona.
Yeah.
But Rhonda, she we've been married for 41 years. At that time, we were, 30 something years. And she goes, why don't we just retire in Colorado? She goes, your mom's there, all your siblings are, there, my sisters, everything. She said, and I was kind of like, okay,
yeah,
I'll retire in Colorado. So that's what we did. That's what we talked about. And I was planning on doing 30.
Really?
I was planning on doing 30. I was, that year I would have been in the zone for E9, and I had a friend that his dad was a Marine, a friend in the Marine Corps, and he was from Colorado, and his wife needed help driving his dad to Colorado. He was disabled.
Huh.
So they asked Rhonda if she would help. And I said, hey, when you're out there, I said, look at houses out there and just kind of look. I wasn't like wanting to get out or anything.
Yeah.
So she obviously took that a different way. and it was, I was stationed in Camp Pendleton, California as a first sergeant. And my brother, he was down the road, stationed in Miramar, and him and his wife was up at the house watching the Bronco game.
Yeah.
And Rhonda calls and she says, hey, she goes, can you put in for retirement? And no, would you put in for retirement? She goes, I found a house.
Really?
It'll be built in June.
Huh.
And I thought about it and I said, yeah, I'll retire.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, let's do it.
Let's
Time
get
for it. Didn't really like the schools and where we were at.
Yeah.
And we knew that our kids being in middle school and in elementary. We had to get them in some better schools.
Sure.
And I knew it wasn't going to be there in California. So that was one of the big reasons for that. So that's what we did. And then years later, we started talking about, well, let's buy a second house. Let's go to Arizona. At that time, my mom, those guys would come out to Arizona every winter.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know it was Westbrook Village.
Sure.
Didn't know anything about it.
They were coming to Westbrook Village. You didn't know it. Yeah.
They leased a casita every winter over at the lakes, and the casita pointed right there at the water at the ninth hole.
Okay.
It was one of those last ones right there. And they had friends, and they still do. There's friends of theirs that still live in Westbrook Village that they golf with at the Air Force Academy in Colorado. Yeah. So their friends are the ones that got them out here and everything. But at that time I was working. I was working in the power industry and everything. And I wasn't really paying attention where they were going. I just knew they were going to be in Arizona for 3 or 4 months. Yeah. So anyway, me and Rhonda started looking out in Arizona, and we were looking at Queen Creek, and all that stuff in 2006. And then my brother moved out here after he retired from the Marine Corps from Colorado. Okay. There was a job he was looking at. So he ends up buying in Westbrook Village in April of 2008. I was looking at the house I'm in right now in May of 2008. I was looking directly at it on Zillow. Okay. I was looking all around and everything. And I didn't know if that. I said, Rhonda, we're going to go out in September, and I got this realtor, and we're going to go out and we're going to go look at some houses out there. So we already knew what we wanted. We wanted a pool. We wanted we had certain things we wanted. Pool was number one for Rhonda. Yeah. So we came out, and he showed us around, and we walked into that place, and I'm like, okay, this is what we want, right? Yeah. And we had no plans to come here and retire. We thought it could happen down the road. But I was 47 years old when we bought it. Okay. And we were coming out here 4 or 5 times a year. And every time I was coming out here, I couldn't wait to get here. Yeah. And then when I was leaving to go back, I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to go back, so it was very unfair for me to buy that thing at 47 years old. Yeah. So one of my goals was, when I retired out of the Marine Corps, I said, I'm going to retire at 55. Sure. That's what I want to do. When I was 53, I said, man, it's too soon. Yeah. 55, we just started talking about it, and she didn't want to do the snowbird thing. That was the whole purpose. Yeah. And I said, well, what do you want to do? I said, there's no reason, at 55, there's no reason for me to continue to work if we're going to downsize. Yeah. And that's what we did. Nice. So I would sit in my office in Colorado while it was snowing, and I'd look out the window. I'd turn around. I had cameras out at my, here at my house, at Westbrook Village at my house. And you see the sunshine. And I would sit there at my desk and look at the weather. Yeah. And sit there and just cringe like, oh, man, I need to get out there. Yeah. And that's how it happened. So we had the parents were out here. We know they loved it out here. When me and Rhonda first came out and looked at that house, we got his deal so we could go down to the lakes pool. Yeah. And we laid out there and everything, and I was sitting there going, oh, man. This is it. I said, this is the place, Rhonda. I said, we're going to buy. So we put an offer on that house. We bought it, and we came out, like I said, every year, all the time. And I don't know if you know this. I know my mother's out here now. Yeah. We finally got her back out here. Yeah. She owns a house over at the lake. She's a block away. My brother's a block away. And my oldest daughter, the one you met, she owns a casita on the lakes. Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah. So nice. So we got the whole family. You got the whole clan out here. Well, Mark, you are 7 minutes over the time limit here. We had a nice long interview.
Is there anything else you want to say about Westbrook Village or anything else? Or other than how much you love pickleball? And
yeah, I enjoy Westbrook Village and I enjoy the people here.
Yeah, the people are the best.
It's different. And I tell you, everybody that comes and visits me, they talk about, hey, I think we're going to look for a house here. So it's kind of,
We'll start sending them my way. Hey.
I will.
All right. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks again for tuning in to the Meet Your Neighbor podcast. Real estate is how I'm able to support this show and give back to our community. If you or someone you know is thinking about buying or selling a home in Arizona, I'd love to help. I also offer a free real estate review, basically a health checkup for your home's value and market position. You can call or text me anytime at 651-295-6830. Again, that's 651-295-6830. I'd be honored to help you or your neighbors with the next chapter of your real estate journey. And thanks again for listening, and be sure to keep connecting.